Hi guys, so Mick Lynch of the RMT has been launched into the limelight following a number of interviews he's had on everything from Sky News to Good Morning Britain. He has come across as someone who's both authentic and someone who will not take any twaddle. But it seems that Mick is not alone. There are a number of other union bosses who can hold their own with both journalists and politicians. Here Eddie Dempsey of the RMT shut up both Lord Moylan and a Liberal Democrat MP. Enjoy.
The fact is, my colleague, the MP for Richmond Park, Sarah Olney, uncovered through parliamentary questions that the Transport Secretary hadn't met with the unions or got involved in the discussions for over a month. This is a dereliction of duty by government, and it absolutely has a role to play and should be at the table and should be working with the Army and others to put contingency plans in place if these strikes are going to continue.
But as Daniel says, no government minister has got involved in a rail dispute directly since the 70s.
Well, we are, as I say, we're in the middle of a cost of living crisis. We've heard about the impact on the economy as everybody's trying to get back on their feet post-pandemic. Exceptional times call for exceptional measures. If the government needs to step in to help get this resolved, then I think the public would appreciate that, because these strikes are crippling and it's really not what our country needs right now.
You can see Eddie's expression is like, what the F? This idea, we're going to bring in the army to break the strike. Now, she's not describing it as that, but that's basically what it would do. What the government are trying to do is bring in legislation that would allow companies to fire staff who go on strike and replace them with agency staff. So what other venue have these trade unionists got? The workers, what else can they do? They believe if they go on strike now, they may be able to negotiate better conditions. But what the government want to do is allow companies just to lay people off and rehire them with agency staff, of course, at a lower rate of pay. And the fact that this Liberal Democrat MP is suggesting, well, the government should bring in the army would be used to break the strike, not directly, but indirectly.
Now, or else
you think the answer is to send the army in to break a strike during a cost of living crisis?
No, I wasn't suggesting an army to break the strike, but it was put in place measures to be able to get nurses and doctors and teachers to work and students to their exams.
You want to send the army in to break a strike?
Potentially, what we need is government action, whether it's bringing together COBRA to put in plan emergency measures to keep critical workers moving.
They are talking about emergency measures. They're talking about bringing extra laws in to prevent strike action being effective. Now, we've all seen what happens when powerful people are on the side of employers. We've just seen it with P&O. And what we're facing in the railway now is a form of fire and rehire that your whole house over there in the Commons condemned. But now they're doing it to railway workers. You're all seeming to come up with ideas, send the army in and bring in the...
Well said, well said. Exactly. When P&O were doing it, everyone, Tory after Tory, and other members of the House of Commons lined up to condemn P&O. And now that rail workers are striking in order to protect themselves from being replaced by agency staff, the answer is to bring in the army. Or we need emergency legislation. No, the problem, as he pointed out here, is the legislation that the government want to bring in at the moment. People striking are doing it for two reasons. They're trying to protect their jobs against this new legislation, and they also are struggling at the moment because of a cost of living crisis. And the idea that you would bring in the army to break a strike which is based on the cost of living crisis is absurd.
Nobody's supporting fire and rehire
into work throughout the past week.
I think there's a problem with low wages in this country. They've been falling for 30 years.
But that's the real fallout, isn't it? That those people can't get to their jobs.
We've got all kinds of people coming out with phrases like modernisation who don't know what they're talking about. To be fair, I'm not going to listen to a lord who probably won't know the business end of a shovel.
I love this guy. Well said, Eddie. I'm not going to listen to a lord who doesn't know the end of a shovel. Lord Moylan can claim up to £300 a day in expenses because he's a member of the House of Lords. A guy who still continues to think that Brexit was a good idea. Still campaigns for Brexit, saying that, yeah, don't worry, everything is wonderful, criticising the European Union at every turn. Anyway, but I love this. He doesn't know the business end of a shovel.
Telling my members about being modern when they're working 24-hour shifts.
I haven't said the word modern, have I?
Okay.
All round the clock, and bringing the army in to break a strike. We haven't seen that since the general strike in 1926.
Okay, Richard, I want to ask you.
Well said, Eddie. This idea, we're going to bring in the army to break the strike. Of course, it wouldn't be sold to the public as that. It would be, well, we can't find enough workers, so we're going to replace them with the army for the time being. And then, obviously, the army can't do everything, so they will be replaced with agency staff. That's what it's all about. That's what it's been about since the beginning. Remember when P&O laid off all the staff, and Grant Shapps and others talked about, we're going to punish P&O, we're going to force them to hire these staff back, and then nothing happened. P&O hired the staff, the agency staff, and moved forward. There was a lot of hand-wringing and condemnation, but it came to nothing. So once again, well said, Eddie. I think he's a good, maybe not a replacement for Mick Lynch, but he's definitely up there. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think about all of this. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.